Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at another offering from Deities Demigods. This is a special Saturday edition celebrating my 45th anniversary of playing D&D. I've been taking a deep dive into the Deities Demigods book, the big monster manual, as we used to think of it. And today we're going to go to Norse myth. The Norse were the ones we knew the most because of Thor comics. Many of us that played in the 80s were comic book fans, and most of my buddies knew the Thor comics and had read them. We discussed them at length. The excellent Jack Kirby artwork, Stan Lee writing from the 60s, right up through the mid 80s, and we adapted a lot of stuff from it. If you've seen some of my other videos about Legends and Lore, The Wild Hunt was one that was in Thor comics and some other stuff. But the Norse mythos, we get a lot of stuff that pertains importantly to D&D, and because we knew the Norse mythos the best of any of these in here, with possible exception of the Greek mythos, this was the one that was actually really important to my campaign. In the early days, before we had a lot of Greyhawk native gods, the Norse Pantheon was pretty much the default, the go-to for players at my table. And in fact, I still have a number of players in my game whose characters worship the Norse gods. We got some nice look at their take on dwarves, Einharir, giants, and Jotunheim. You learn a bunch about giants in this section. And we got to look at Odin, the Allfather, the supreme ruler of the gods. Odin was a pretty big, tough guy. And then we get a look at Freak and Gear, Odin's wolves. Hugin and Munin, his ravens, that's thought and memory. And Sleipnir, his eight-legged horse, which according to some myth, Loki gave birth to. Ouch. And then we got to look at the various gods. Aegir, Baldur. Baldur was big in Marvel Comics. They did a really good Ragnarok story arc in the late 70s where Baldur gets killed for reasons in the story. Don't worry, he gets better. And a false Ragnarok comes up. And it's a lot of fun. And it dove really deep into actual Norse myth. So, again, we took a lot from that. Bragi, the god of poetry, eloquence, and song. The Fenris wolf. I actually threw in a Fenris wolf in a game not terribly long ago, maybe within the last 5 years or so. I had the Fenris wolf just as avatar, and I treated him as just a big monster with a big bag of hit points, no real powers or anything, but 99% magic resistance, armor class -4, 400 hit points, 9 to 90 damage, and he's huge. So Fenris was fun. They had a heck of a time dealing with him. Fjalar, the dwarven hero of the Durin race. Forseti, god of justice. Fossagrim, an enchanted being. Frey, god of sunshine and the elves. This was one that a lot of our elf players worshipped before we got a lot more. I realized that there's an elf god in this as well, in this book as well, but this was one that a lot of our elves are into too. We got to look at Frey's horse, Frey's golden boar, Frey's shieldband Skirnir, Freya, goddess of love and fertility, Frey's sister, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I'm sorry, is twin sister of Frey, yeah. Frigga, the goddess of the atmosphere, the wife of Odin. Garm, the guardian of the Hell Gate. Heimdall, we all know him as Idris Elba from the Thor movies. Hel, also called Hela or Hela. I prefer Hela, H-E-L-A. In my pronunciation is Hela, but I know in the movies they called her Hela. Idun, goddess of spring and eternal youth. Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent. I've always wanted to use him in a game, but I never have. 300 hit points per head, and he's infinitely huge. He wraps the entire world. Loki, god of mischief, strife, and fire. He popped up in one of my earliest Valpurgises. Somebody said his name, and he appeared. That was not fun for the player that said his name. Magni, god of strength, son of Thor. Modi, god of courage and berserk rage. Let's see. Are they Thor's? Yeah, they are Thor's. Thor's kids. The Norns, the Fates. I've done a couple of games based around the Norns. Basically the readings of the Norns, because the Norns are the ones who control the skein of life, and they cut the skein when it's time for you to die. Everything is set. All future is fixed. There's nothing you can do to change it. Just live it out. Rather grim pantheon when you look at it. Sif, goddess of excellence and skill in battle. Frequently in the Thor comics is Thor's girlfriend. Made the first couple of Thor movies too. Surtur, god of fire giants. Surtur is still a big player in my campaign. There are cults of Surtur all over the Flayness in my official or my D&D Thor, God of Thunder. Yes, I have Thor worshippers in my game still. Great picture of Thor fighting Jormungandr. Tana Grisner and Tana Yost, Thor's goats. Thrym, Lord of the Frost Giants. This was welcome information about the Frost Giants. I liked him. Tur, God of War and Law. Uller, God of Hunting, Archery, and Winter. He surprisingly had a big place in our earliest D&D games. He was once a great god, but his power waned. I did a couple story arcs based around that. Some artifacts he had that were really just ridiculously powerful that became less powerful as his favor waned with the gods. Just some fun stuff there. The Valkyries, I used this as my template when we had anything that would summon Valkyries. The Horn of Valhalla will summon some Aesir warriors. I used some information out of here. And then we got Vidar, the god of strength and silence. So there you have it. That's the Norse Pantheon. Pretty good section in the book. Saw a ton of use at my table. Still sees a ton of use at my table. We played last night, and my players and I were discussing the deities, demigods, and we were all talking about how much we've actually drawn out of this book in various campaigns. Whoever was DMing, this book has always been very important to our campaign. But that's it. That wraps up my full week of enjoying 45 years of D&D, specifically diving deep into the Deities and Demigods book. Don't worry, I'm not done with this tome yet. I have a couple other ideas for volumes I'm going to look at. The Melnibian and Cthulhu Pantheons. I've had requests to take a look at both. I may do that down the line. Let me know what you want to see. I have a couple other ideas and stuff I'm going to pull out of this book, but this book was such a treasure trove and so welcome when it first came out. It's still a great book. But that's all I've got to say today on page 121. Thank you for indulging me this whole week. Let me know what you think in your comments below. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Let's grow the channel. And also take a look at the Patreon. See if you can help me out there to keep the channel going. That's it for today on page 121. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.